like greater than post me impossible. I cut a sucker in small chunks, make more rhymes than Michael Jordan makes slams. Let's go. Prerogative. On a mission, kicking knowledge on a different level. Mix the lyrics like the bass with the treble. Take a deep breath, getting funky as my lungs release a solid rhyme. Slack. Never stop, so I continue on. With the first word is white, where is born. I made your imperfection out of indulgence fantasy. Take a mind and then start. Like me. Listen closely, approach me. Sucker closely. Those who try to treat me like greater than post me impossible. I cut a sucker in small chunks, make more rhymes than Michael Jordan makes slams. Let's go. Prerogative. Listen closely, approach me. Sucker closely. Those who try to treat me like greater than post me impossible. I cut a sucker in small chunks, make more rhymes than Michael Jordan makes slams. Let's go. Prerogative. On a mission, kicking knowledge on a different level. Mix the lyrics like the bass with the treble. Take a deep breath, getting funky as my lungs release a solid rhyme. Slack. Never stop, so I continue on. With the first word is white, where is born. I made your imperfection out of indulgence fantasy. Take a mind and then start. Like me. Listen closely, approach me. Sucker closely. Those who try to treat me like greater than post me impossible. I cut a sucker in small chunks, make more rhymes than Michael Jordan makes slams. Let's go. Prerogative. Listen closely, approach me. Sucker closely. Those who try to treat me like greater than post me impossible. I cut a sucker in small chunks, make more rhymes than Michael Jordan makes slams. Let's go. Prerogative. On a mission, kicking knowledge on a different level. Mix the lyrics like the bass with the treble. Take a deep breath, getting funky as my lungs release a solid rhyme. Slack. Never stop, so I continue on. With the first word is white, where is born. I made your imperfection out of indulgence fantasy. Take a mind and then start. Like me. Listen closely, approach me. Sucker closely. Those who try to treat me like greater than post me impossible. I cut a sucker in small chunks, make more rhymes than Michael Jordan makes slams. Let's go. Prerogative. Listen closely, approach me. Sucker closely. Those who try to treat me like greater than post me impossible. I cut a sucker in small chunks, make more rhymes than Michael Jordan makes slams. Let's go. Prerogative.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm back. Hi. And we have proper lighting again, so yay. Okay, guys. It is time. It is time to continue chapter 4. Quick recap of yesterday. What the heck is happening in Great Ace Attorney right now? We had the mic drop moment where we figured out that the guy with the giant, enormous, flapping lip is actually the missing husband. Perfect timing. How's your day been? Hey, Prophet. Day's been very good. We got some... Honestly, I potatoed a lot today, but we did a little bit of chores, and we've been streaming. We just finished Unicorn Overlord for the night, so we're gonna do Ace Attorney until it's time for me to stop. I might go a little over my normal streaming time tonight, because I want to make sure that we get at least 2 hours. Anyways, let's get going. So we know that the missing husband of Mrs. Vigil was impersonating Gregson at Gregson's request. And he was then captured by the red-headed people. Got home from your parents' house for dinner and visiting. Nice. I hope you had a good time. Home-cooked meals are always welcome. Whenever I visit, I look forward to it immensely. But I also I see my parents very few days of the year. They live on the East Coast. I still can't quite believe what just happened. I know. I inquired with the bailiff after the court session was adjourned, and it seems Mr. Vigil was taken to hospital to recover. Oh, right, he passed out. Because we made him remember that he was fired from being a prison warden because of what happened with the professor. That's why the trial had to be suspended. Right. Oh, it's Steven's, fans. What is this music? 10 years ago now, Mr. Vigil attempted to commit suicide by jumping out of the window of the prison governor's office. But ever since then, he's completely blocked the memory of those events from his mind. Nobody knew his secret. Not his family, not even the man himself, but I forced it out into the open. Was it wrong of me to do that? Did I overstep the mark, I wonder? Bruno! Oh, Iris.
No.
You were miles away. Anyway, I've brewed a fresh pot of soothing tea for you. Oh, thank you. You and Susie have had an exhausting day so far, haven't you? Oh. Thank you, Iris. How thoughtful of you. You happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is? When we came out of the courtroom back into the defendant's antechamber, he's disappeared. Yep, we're on to AA now, Thomas. For the rest of the night. Oh no, I don't know. He just suddenly sprang to his feet and left. All he said was, I must leave. I wonder if he's pursuing the mystery of Inspector Gregson's death. Where's the wine? We got a nice cup of water. Well, you know what Hurley's always saying, don't you? There are mysteries in this world that should perhaps never be solved. For the construction of a solution comes only at the expense of the destruction of something else. What does that mean? You know, like how you destroyed that man's mental? He knows very well that when you open someone else's old wounds, you often open your own too. But he can't just take his own advice and leave well alone. Solving mysteries is too important to him. That's so true. But that's what I like about Hurley, after all. Suppose that's the lot of a great detective in some ways. So then, let's have tea, and then I'll give you a hand. Oh, do you have time, Iris? Yes, I finished this month's manuscript at last, with barely a day to spare before the deadline. Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. A brand new story to read in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Sholmes, even. You know, I always hide Hurley's violin in the days before I have a deadline. You do? Poor Mr. Holmes. I'm sure that's very wise, Iris. How sensible of you. Now then, my dear fellows, let's make a plan of action before we continue our investigation. So, how did it go in court this morning? This entire game is pretty zany. Well, we still don't know the truth about what really happened, but one thing's increasingly clear. Lord Van Zeeks definitely didn't do it. Oh, goody. Yes, that's right. We managed to uncover several new facts as well. Oh, really? And there was another development too. Kazuma. Yes, it's quite clear now that Kazuma-sama is not himself. The way he's acting, it's almost as if he's possessed. I know. I mean, at the end of the proceedings earlier, he was like a bloodhound the way he was chasing down Mr. Vigil's forgotten past. He's not normally so mercilessly persistent. What's going on in his head, I wonder? I really need to sit down with Kazuma and try to understand what he's going through. If Gregson was really murdered the day before his body was discovered, then Lord Van Zieks has to be innocent, you see? What? The day before? Well, that should be easy enough to work out just by examining the corpse, surely? Yes, you would expect so, but curiously, no time of death was included in the autopsy report. That is curious. There are still unanswered questions about Lord Van Zieks, though, aren't there? Do you mean... I mean, what was he doing there on Fresno Street that day in the first place? Well, according to the man's testimony, he said he was investigating Inspector Gregson, didn't he? And it turns out that little room was actually the inspector's secret office. Oh, that sounds like it has all the makings of a wonderfully devilish plot. But then, why was that notice board in there covered in all those particular papers? Papers about cases with a link to the Reaper. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about all this. Oh dear, that sounds more like something horribly devilish. We must start by looking into Inspector Gregson's movements of late. I never imagined I might have to be investigating an inspector's movements. Well, according to this entry in his diary, he was carrying out an incognito investigation of the Red-Headed League the day before his death. Oh, you mean he was doing the same as Hurley? Well, Mr. Sholmes was trying to apply, whereas the inspector was supposed to be investigating. I do wish it had been the other way around. Anyway, as it turns out, the inspector who went to investigate the Red-Headed League that day wasn't actually Gregson at all. It was Mr. Vigil in possession of Gregson's identification. You know what that sounds like to me? Establishing an alibi. Oh my. Yes, you're absolutely right, Iris. But why would Gregson need an alibi? It would appear that the inspector had something to do that he wished to keep secret. I don't believe it. I always thought he was just a harmless lover of fish and chips. But perhaps they were seasoned with something a little more potent than salt and vinegar. I think perhaps we should try to move away from food analogies. Well, anyway, if Lord Van Zieks felt the need to investigate Gregson, yes, I agree. We must try to find out what he knows. Vigil, you say? Isn't that the name of the lady who came to visit Hurley yesterday? That's right, to ask Mr. Sholmes if we would help her find her missing husband. Only Mr. Sholmes completely passed the buck to us. Actually, didn't you say that Mr. Vigil had been taken to the hospital? Do you know which one? Ah, it's St. Sinner's. I'm starting to wonder if all the other hospitals in London have closed down. Now, Naruhodo, the budget. But that's amazing, Runo. You found the lady's husband already. Well, I suppose I have. By accident. And 10 years ago, while Mr. Vigil was the chief warder at the prison, he was responsible for overseeing the professor's incarceration. No. So when the convict escaped, he was held responsible and immediately dismissed. Sometimes I really don't want to grow up. There's more. For 10 years after that, while he was ostensibly working as a peddler, he also had another secret job. He was paid by Gregson to be a stand-in, to impersonate the inspector. To impersonate Gregsy? But why? I have absolutely no idea. Ginny was right. I'm starting to think all adults are up to no good now. Including you, Bruno. I haven't paid anyone to impersonate me. That means he has ties to the professor and to the Inspector Gregson. So I do think we ought to pay a visit to Mr. Vigil, don't you? Back to St. Sinners, then. I thought we were gonna tell the wife, maybe. Well, I think it's clear what we need to do, isn't it? Let us investigate, my dear fellows. Oh, Iris, you're even more enthusiastic than usual today. Anyone has anything to hide, my special Wilson shooting iron will soon set them straight. That water pistol. It's stuffed full of piping hot, extra special blend of mine. Then I'm quite sure it will be very effective. I'd better be careful not to hide anything. Well, it feels a little strange that Mr. Sholmes is nowhere to be seen, but still. Let's go and see what we can find out. I don't believe we visited this place for some time. So we have to go to the prison. We have to go to the Lord Chief Justice's office. Oh, okay. So they want me to do the other two things before I go to Mr. Vigil's hospital bed. Alright, let's go to the Chief Justice's office. I'm curious. Ah, he's meeting with Kazuma. No arguments, Prosecutor Asogi. You will continue with the trial exactly as I instructed. Is that clear? Oh, welcome back, Stephen. It's vaguely possible that you could finish case 4 tonight. These next bits aren't super... Oh, hey, Dots. Yeah, I am not gonna be able to stream super late tonight. I do work in the morning, but, we'll see. I ended up unicorning a little bit longer than planned. I went over by like 40 minutes, because it was just, I wasn't ready to put it down perfectly. Oh, it's Kazuma-sama. Fine Lord Strongheart by the sound of it. He never did know when to back down. On your way now, Asugi. My lord. Kazuma. Left without saying a word. Yeah, that's weird. Yes, what are you doing here? Oh, well, I was just hoping to ask you a few questions if you wouldn't mind. I wanted Van Zeek's trial concluding today. The Prosecutor Asugi's unwelcome inquiries are going to make it take longer than necessary. Unwelcome inquiries? As a result, I'm losing even more precious time. Currently 2 hours, 55 minutes, and 41 seconds. 42. 43. Then we must resolve everything before 3 hours have passed, Mr. Naruhodo. In a miraculous not even 5 minutes? Anyway, I can't let the man's obvious bad mood put me off. I need information. Are they attacking me too? Does Professor Asugi believe that Lord Van Zeeks is the Reaper? Oh, Prosecutor Asugi, my bad. I wouldn't know. It was 10 years ago, in that fateful closed trial, that Lord Van Zeeks made a name for himself among the judiciary. But the next trial he fought, he lost. It meant the ringleader of a criminal organization was acquitted, thanks to all the jurors being under duress. But that's awful. The man's freedom was short-lived. He lasted just 3 days. Yes, let me see. He died in a rock slide at his place of work, I believe. Correct. That was the inauguration of the Reaper of the Bailey. But people believed Lord Van Zeeks was responsible? He was brought to trial himself, but it was shown to have been an accident. So he must have had a solid alibi then. Nevertheless, the mysterious deaths continued. In total, 16 persons perished in unusual circumstances, ostensibly at the hand of the Reaper. That's a long run of coincidences. Well, the Reaper's true identity may well be revealed by this trial. And the impact that revelation would have on the British public cannot be understated. Is that why it's a closed trial? Precisely. This country hasn't seen a closed trial for 10 years. So the last one was the professors. The trial of Genshin Asugi? Correct. Actually, we heard that originally you were going to prosecute that trial yourself, Lord Strongheart. Van Zeeks entreated me to relinquish the prosecution to him, that he might avenge his brother's death. Genshin Impact Asiago. Yeah, it still makes me double take a little bit when I see Genshin. And here we are, 10 years later. With the son of the man Van Zeeks had condemned, now looking to avenge his father's death in the same way. They do say that what goes around comes around. However, it would seem that the new young prosecutor is harboring some ulterior motive as well. Kazuma is? I like my organization to run smoothly in the exact manner that I prescribe. As with the giant clock in here, I won't tolerate a single cog being out of step with the others. Ah, so that's what all these people are about. The young man refuses to mesh with the other parts of my great machine. I will be forced to take steps. What do you mean? Not something with which you need to concern yourself. Watch Strongheart be the prosecutor in the final trial. Is that even allowed? In any case, all your questions will be answered tomorrow. Now, I shall have to ask you to excuse me. As of this moment, I've been delayed from attending my next meeting by precisely 3 hours. Oh my, that's a long time. And I hold you entirely responsible. Even though we miraculously managed to fit everything into not even 5 minutes. I wonder if you might agree to us, talking with Prosecutor Asugi. Discussions between the defense and the prosecution outside of the courtroom are generally frowned upon. However, I will make an exception in this case. Now go! You can find him in his office. Oh, thank you. Let's go see him at once, Mr. Naruhodo. Kazuma's my best friend in the world, but I'm really not at all sure I know how to talk to him. Yeah. We generally frown upon you gatekeeping us from seeing our BF. So this is the office of Prosecutor Asuki now, is it? Kazuma-sama is doing so well for himself. Isn't this just Van Zeek's office? Even though he's always forced to kneel on the floor, Japanese style, in that dark corner. It's his habit to sit Seiza style whenever he's working. Well, it looks like our journey here was wasted. The prosecutor appears to be out. Perhaps we should discuss things with another prosecutor we know first. Okay, we'll go to the prison. Loud and clear, game. Gotcha. Lord Van Zeeks is reading, look. He doesn't seem like he wants visitors, does he? But he must have noticed that we're here, surely. Oh, I guess Iris didn't come with us to the Chief Justice's office? That was weird. What do you Nipponese want? That's no way to greet your lawyer who's trying his hardest to prove your innocence, is it? Perhaps not. I apologize. So, what can I do for you, Mr. Naruhodo? Lord Van Zeeks, speaking earnestly. Oh, the fog will lift over London for the first time in months tomorrow. This does feel very, very strange. Must say, I was impressed. Oh, well, thank you. Not by you, by your fellow Nipponese, your prosecutor friend. Oh, I see. Yes. Sardonic, don't you think? For a man such as me, so loathing of the Nipponese, to be entirely at the mercy of the two of you. I suppose it's retribution for having played the part of the Reaper all these years. The part? You once told me that you gladly allowed people to believe you were the Reaper, because it helped reduce the amount of serious crime that took place in London. If keeping quiet and playing the part benefits the cause, a cause I myself am committed to pursuing, then why would I choose to say anything? But the henchman of a criminal killed by the Reaper attacked you the other day, and that was just the most recent of many attempts on your life, isn't it? Someone is clearly profiting from your silence about all this. Someone's using you. Believe me, ever since the Reaper first appeared, I've been doing my utmost to expose him, or rather, expose the organization. Ah, it's a whole organization. It's inconceivable that all those accidents were orchestrated by one man. No, the Reaper always appears to have very accurate information about the accused in each case. Which can only mean that somebody at Scotland Yard is involved. Or at Strongheart. Someone at... You can't mean... It's taken me many years, but I've finally identified the central figure in this organization. Bias Gregson. Really? No. No! Gregson the Reaper? So, the reason you were investigating Inspector Gregson is because you intended to expose him as the Reaper? That As I said, the Reaper of the Bailey is no single person. It's a highly secret organization with close ties to Scotland Yard. There's no doubt that Gregson was a key member of that organization. I don't believe it. Are you saying that Gregsy, that he was behind all those awful criminals meeting there? Gregson didn't do the dirty work himself. Oh. He was the tactician. His job was to covertly investigate the Barks and plot their assassinations. In order to do that without arousing suspicion, he regularly needed a firm alibi. Which is where Mr. Vigil came in, posing as the inspector. Yeah, this tea is hot. What is going on? Vigil knows nothing of the Reaper, but the room he rents on Fresno Street was almost certainly the headquarters of the operation. Gregson would have met the assassin there for briefings. So we don't actually know who carried out the kill then. Actually, I do have a name. What? Well, if you can name the man, you have the identity of the Reaper already then. Or if I can name the woman... Okay, they wouldn't pull some crazy shit like it's Gina, right? Because Gregson did take Gina under his wing before he died. I also feel like it could be the daughter of Dr. Scythe, because she's literally insane. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's see. Oh. She's a young woman by the name of Asa Shin. Wait, what? Yeah. That was the name of a birdhead lady that died in the first chapter. That's the one. The true name of the terrifying killer I know only too well. Yeah, Giselle! She came to Japan posing as a visiting student and murdered Dr. John H. Wilson. Then, just when it seemed that diplomatic protection would help her escape Japan and conviction, the mysterious woman was herself murdered in a small summer beach hut. And that woman was actually the Reaper of the Bailey? Mr. Naruhodo, this perhaps isn't the place to discuss. No, of course not. We can't mention it here. Oh, a dead woman. Hi, Matt. Happy Sunday. Sorry you had to dodge spoilers. Instead, I'll greet you with this.
Hun, sweetie, love, darling.
Unicorn Overlord is amazing, so I hope you play it soon. What the hell? Yeah, I made inescapable voice commands. So we have Ava, who is extremely iconic.
Hun, sweetie, love, darling.
Yeah, there's actually 7 Ava commands, because I was recording them myself and I just couldn't help myself. She's the new Hazel? Oh, yeah.
Party!
Party! Yep.
Super. Super. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the Tux one. He makes that noise when he
Hun,
gets
sweetie,
frustrated.
love, darling. So saved. At times like this, you just have to act yourself. WWID. So saved.
Yeah.
Saved.
It's the laugh afterwards for me. It's so funny. So yeah, those exist.
Super.
So saved. There's also the Isaac commands, are also very good. Yeah, everyone loves the Ava commands. I knew that they would. The one, was it Isaac? Just with one A. So Isaac. Weird emo guy with the crazy voice actor. That's the one that I was trying to show Jordan, because he keeps going, oh. I made 4 of those though, because he's crazy. I'm trying to think who else. We didn't add like Annie, but that one's whatever. Just nah. The fact that she killed Dr. John H. Wilson. Because Iris doesn't know, and it's very likely that man was her father. But yeah, when things get really exciting, you can do Isaac 4, and it will be appropriate. You'll see. Assassin. I should let her father know at once. Yes, I agree. Kazuma, isn't it? Kazuma Asogi.
Another happy customer.
Boyfriend energy. The follow. You say he's a friend of yours. My best friend. He's the whole reason I got to come to Britain. It was all on his merits.
So saved.
I want to know what in the universe and timeline did the star align for all of us to hear and express out emotion with. It's just Ava's voice actress in that game was very unhinged. And she did a great job. We weren't sure of her at first, but she became an icon. I have nothing but respect for him. Yes, I understand that only the very best students are selected for such opportunities. And I had a fine demonstration of how sharp he is in the proceedings earlier today. He missed nothing. In fact, his flawless performance very much reminded me of his father, Kenshin Asuki, professor. It's true that the aristocracy at the time was the root of numerous grave societal problems. They were abusing their power, playing with the common man as pawns in politics, in economics, or... In many ways, Asugi was carving out a anchor from society that we British couldn't deal with ourselves. Ah, I see. But that's precisely why it makes no sense. Lint Van Zeeks was a noble and upstanding man. He wasn't corrupt. Why did that damn Nipponese have to go and take my brother's life? Hello, boyfriend energy. Welcome. Nice Gengar emote. At least I think that's Gengar. It is nice. Love Gengar. So now I'm thinking, what if... What if Kazuma's father was framed by whatever group Assassin... Wait, is it supposed to be a play on assassin? Assassin. Anyway, I'm gonna... I just got
Congratulations! Super job!
that. And I was gonna say, why don't I go back to the way I was saying it, but, I can't. Assassin. Okay. In spite of having once saved mine. He saved your life? How did that happen? It was 10 years ago on a foggy night. What was to be the professor's final strike had sent a wave of panic through the capital. Okay, but Van Zeke's popping off with those brows, damn. Hey, Van Zeke's is a very, he's a good-looking man's. And to be honest, this game is kind of full of them. You can't see our main character here, but he's great, and Sholmes is great, and Strongheart is good. Van Zeke's is good. This one's only for Badgers. Oh, and then, of course, Kazuma.
How dare you?
Oh, what do you mean, how dare you? Am I wrong? So saved! Okay.
So saved.
So Clint Van Zeeks had already been killed at this point. Vincent and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour. Of course, at that point, I had no idea of the true nature of the man at my side. All of a sudden... Make a peep, you're coming with us? We were surrounded. Aw, young Van Zeeks. All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. Clint was not only from noble heritage, he was a brilliant prosecutor as well. The scum of London hated the sight of him, and they had no sympathy for his younger brother either. Okay. I'd been targeted several times before already. Yeah, it's Van Zeeks, alright, we got him. I could hear them murmuring amongst themselves. I knew they were after me. But just when I thought my time had come... If I let them kill you, Clint would never forgive me. It's Asugi's voice, just a whisper in my ear. Okay, so wait. This is becoming more obvious that he was framed. Okay. Genshin has Genshin hair. I don't believe it! After that, I don't remember exactly what happened. Next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He'd shielded me.
Blood will flow like a river.
From your hand. 2 days later, they arrested him on suspicion of being London's most notorious mass murderer ever, the Professor. How awful for you. All at once I lost the brother I revered, and the foreign friend I had held in such high regard. I'm so sorry, Lord Fancies. That's the end of my miserable tale. I never thought I'd recount it to anyone. Well, thank you for confiding in me. The Professor, the Reaper, and Inspector Gregson. I wonder just how intimately related they all are. I still can't quite believe that Gregson was essentially the Reaper, giving assassination orders to Giselle Brett. Mr. Naruhodo, let's go and inform my father. I'm sure our government will want to hear about this new information. Oh, that means I get to meet your daddy, Susie. Hooray! Yes, alright. Let's head back to the Great Waterloo Hotel then. Damn. Okay, the twists are twisting. Alright, before we click it, guys, I'm going to get up and refill my cup. I will BRB.
hun, sweetie, love, darling. So saved. Super. Super.
The time is upon us! I have ascended! Oh! 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 Oh!
Get me out of here, 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 get me out of here!
Sad.
Super.
Hi.
Get your act together!
Thomas, I'm noticing that you're
Flex!
you are aggressive with the LeBlanking lately. Did you just remember? Oh! I know. Even though I hated the character in Inescapable, his voice actor is amazing.
At times like this, you just have to act yourself. WWID.
That whole line just makes no sense. You have to ask yourself, what would I do?
Oh!
I don't know a lot of the commands.
Oh.
Thomas, you should bookmark. You should bookmark that page. And then just anytime you're watching stream, you can refer to it. I just have to check in with your inner self, and then persona. Are you saying these bitches don't have them memorized? Yes. There's hundreds of voice commands.
This ends now!
Although some of them, yes, are memorized, but not all of them. And honestly, I don't even have them memorized. Some of the commands, I'm like, oh?
Yes.
Yeah. So my intention of having this many voice commands is like, everybody should be able to choose ones that they like and just remember those. No point to remembering
You're not
all
fit to survive!
300 or however many there are. Oh, that's true. Rosen likes to cane me. Okay. To the Great Waterloo Hotel. I thought it yesterday, and I think it again today.
Party!
This place is so princely. I love the voice commands. Thank you. Yes. It was something that we did since the first year of me streaming, and
Super.
people have just always seemed to love them, so I've done nothing but add to the list over the years. It's a wild guess, but I have a feeling you'll think the same tomorrow, too. Boyfriend Energy, thank you very much for the Prime sub. That is awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's a first subscription ever, too, so very, very happy to
Don't
have
forget this feeling.
you. Ava is giving serious Giselle Giselle energy. Yeah, Ava
I'm on the next level.
is hilarious in that game. The game, unfortunately, was just not great, but it had some good times. And you know what? I feel like every game, I was gonna say every visual novel, but every game has its like ride or dies that like to watch it. And our little group for Inescapable was kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie, like there were definitely some people that were getting into it. Yeah, Isaac was in community night. I actually found the command though, Prophet, so we're good.
Oh!
Yes.
Oh!
My tea has a finer fragrance than whatever they're serving in the tea room here, though, wouldn't you say? Ah, we have here. This is an unexpected pleasure. Ah, father. Oh, is this your daddy, Susie? How lovely. What a charming young lady, and you are. Ah, really? So, you're the author of The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, are you? That's me, Iris Wilson, at your service, sir. Susie's been such a wonderful friend to me over the last year, you know? Well, Miss Wilson, I must say I read your work regularly, and with much interest. Iris actually lives with Mr. Sholmes too, you know, Father. Is that so? Well, perhaps that goes some way to explain that bright look in your eyes. Haha. Wouldn't be smiling so airily if you knew just how bright she is, believe me. Now then, young Naruhodo, it was a pleasure seeing you in action earlier. As an invitee of the symposium, I was allowed to observe from the gallery, after I twisted some arms. I hate to say it, but I was genuinely curious where Inescapable's story would go. I just hated how boring the start was. Yeah, I was there with you, Bubble One. I mean, we talked about this when I finished the game too, but I do feel like it suffered from kind of sort of being a half-baked idea that got turned into something else later in development. So like the guy wanted to make a life sim game, but then realized that it wouldn't sell, and they decided to like Danganronpa-fy their marketing and sort of the game, but not enough that when Danganronpa fans played it, they were like, I feel lied to, and that is a big problem with the game. But, you know what, we got a pretty interesting trust route ending, so it wasn't all bad. Just another game that we've played and completed, and it's packed away in Peg Nation history now. The Lust route? Yeah, we want nothing to do with the Lust route, trust me. Doesn't help that there was an actual puzzle right at the start, bait and switch. Yeah. Did the creator of the game dev show up or something? Yeah. The game's lead developer watched me stream it. We didn't play Steins Gate. Right. I mean, even Steins Gate, in retrospect, I'm glad that we finished it. I don't ever want to play it or anything like it ever again, but like, Steins Gate had its moments. Yeah, we got the Mayuri command out of it. And, it did, I teared up during one of the scenes. Towards the very end of the game. I must say, it was a truly exemplary performance. Oh, well, thank you very much. Although I'm fairly sure you omitted by Kazuma on the end there. No, please don't misunderstand. It was you who impressed me. Really? Didn't miss a step against Asuki. And we all know how capable he is. Really, to have matured into such a fine defense lawyer in less than a year is quite extraordinary. It's very kind of you to say so, and really nice to hear. What I saw in the courtroom today confirmed what I'd been hoping for. The favor I mentioned yesterday, Mr. Naruhodo. I trust you haven't forgotten. Oh, no. You did mention something, didn't you? But first, we have something to report, Father. Of course. Shall we take tea while we discuss matters further? I wonder where Judge Jikoku has got to. Father, do you know about the so-called Reaper of the Bailey? I've heard rumors. Some members of the judiciary explained it all to me yesterday. Of course, when I was a visiting student here in London, the Reaper was yet to emerge. Right, he didn't appear until after the case when the visiting students had already returned. Van Zeeks, who was in the dock today, that was Barrick, the younger brother of Clint Van Zeeks, I believe. That's right, and he's known throughout London as the Reaper, as you've heard. But the truth is, it wasn't him behind all those mysterious deaths, it was somebody else. I see. So what you're saying is, there's been a professional killer at work here. Exactly. Someone by the name of Assassin. In fact. Trash! Happy Sunday! How's it going? We are GAA-ing for the rest of stream tonight. I can't believe it's already almost 9. Time has been going by way too fast. I beg your pardon, did you say assassin? I mean that Giselle Brett woman who was responsible for killing my great friend. Going okay, had to stay late for work. Uh-oh. You super busy? Oh no, a friend of yours was killed? Professor Mikutova, I think perhaps we shouldn't discuss this right now. Because the friend the professor is talking about is Dr. John H. Wilson. That's not something we want Iris to find out about. Not like this, anyway. Just cleaning everything? Oh my god, so we're tired. At least you can hopefully put your feet up now. Oh my god, wait a minute. Kuroi has the waving MC from Dragon Quest XI as an emote. That is amazing. I didn't know you were subbed to Kuroi, Trash. That's great. Oh, you got gifted? Very nice. Probably during one of the raids. Ah, I've just remembered something. Biscuits. This hotel has the most delicious looking biscuits. That was rather out of the blue. She's doing this deliberately. I think I'll go and see if I can purchase some. I wonder, would you like to come too, Iris? Oh yes. You just try to leave me behind. young girl. Is called Iris Wilson. Is she? I'm gonna head off and try to finish chapter 28 map on FE7 before bed. Alright, later, Prophet. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Yes, that's right. And she's the author of all those adventure stories starring the great Detective Schultz. But the name of the credited author isn't Iris, is it? It's Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes, I know. That's the name of her father, you see. Father? Dr. John H. Wilson. I was deeply indebted to the man for all the kindness he showed me during my time in London. Steven! Thank you for gifting to Trash. I appreciate it. Trash is our baby. That's why I was keen to reciprocate and invite him to the Imperial Yume University 4 years ago. But he was murdered last year by Giselle Brett. Why? Why would the hand of the Reaper stretch all the way to Japan? Iris knows nothing about that case. I got to shower and relax. The cleaning was a lot, but went by fast. A coworker was giving out drinks. Oh! Alright, sounds good, Trash. So you're heading out for the night?
Oh!
Oh! You'll be lurking? Alright, sounds good. Enjoy your night. And I appreciate the lurk. But it seems very likely that the victim, Dr. Wilson, was her father. Well, I can't say that we ever spoke about his family, so I don't know if he had a daughter or not. But I think I can say with some certainty that he was never the great detective's partner. So it could have been another Dr. Wilson, you think? Well, John and Wilson are both common names after all. Still, it's probably best not to mention this to the young lady until we can be sure. That's what we thought, yes. We're back with cinnamon biscuits. Oh, they smell delicious, Iris. I think cinnamon will go very well with the tea they serve you, don't you, Susie? Yes, I'm sure you're right, Iris. I haven't seen Judge Shikoku for a while, have you? No, now that you mention it, I haven't seen him since this morning either. I suppose since the symposium's opening was postponed, he'll have gone to explore the Great Exhibition. That reminds me of something you mentioned yesterday. About Judge Shikoku having once been in the dock himself. Yes, it was all tied up with that accursed trial. The closed trial of Kazuma's father. Seishiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took to the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and, actually managed to break the witness stand. Oh my. He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged. Oh dear. Although it's worryingly easy to imagine him doing that. Well, it was alright in the end. He was acquitted and we returned home to Japan together. Thank goodness. Ah yes, talking of Seishiro. I have a copy of the photograph we all took together here yesterday. Please. Oh, what a lovely picture. Is this going to be used in our court record? Is Judge Shigoku relevant? It certainly seems to shout. Oh, it certainly seems to shout, we have arrived in Britain. Interesting. Uh-oh. None of us had any idea what was coming when we took that, did we? No. No, that's so true. So, you mentioned a favor that you'd like to ask me. Well, this fateful trial that you're fighting, one way or another, it will be over before long. And when it is, I'd like you to accompany me back to Japan. Want me to do... What? Father? What's the meaning of this? Now, Susato, you should understand. You've seen how our courts work firsthand. Japan's judiciary system is in its infancy, especially when it comes to defense. Oh, you mean the Supreme Court of Judicature is in desperate need of a good defense lawyer, as soon as possible. Really quite urgently, in fact. But I've not even been in London a year yet. I've read all of Susato's reports. I'm well aware of your extraordinary talents. And having seen you in action with my own eyes earlier today, there's no question. You, Naruhodo, are precisely the man our country needs. So, you'd be leaving then, Bruno? But then, what am I supposed to do, Father? Came here to serve as Asugi's judicial assistant. Oh yes, she's supposed to be Kazuma's assistant. Our government is still in the process of deciding how best to deal with this situation, though. Always chosen your own path, Susato, and I trust your judgment. In this matter also. Father? Please, the pair of you, don't look so downcast. It's merely a suggestion, you understand. A hope, if I'm honest, but I won't force you. All I ask is that you consider it and come to a decision by the time this trial concludes. Yes, alright. You won't leave, will you, Runo? Thought hadn't even crossed my mind. Up until now, I've just been trying to do what I believe to be Kazuma's will. But it turns out that he's still alive, so where does that leave me? Well, if you'll excuse me now, I need to telegram government ministers and the Japanese police with the information about assassin. Of course, Father, thank you. I look forward to next month's installment, Miss Wilson. Oh good, and please, do come to Baker Street sometime, won't you? We'd love to entertain you. I would be delighted. The best of luck tomorrow, Naruhodo. And give my suggestion your full consideration, won't you? Yes, I will. Going back home. That would be really interesting if the final chapter takes place in Japan, but I don't really see how it can. We're so involved in the plot being centralized here that I doubt that they go back to Japan. But it is a possibility that the story could go that direction. You know, Kazuma-sama has always meant a great deal to my father. I'm sure he'd love the chance to meet with him and talk to him about all of this. Yes, no doubt. Session. Of course, it's so obvious. How could I have neglected to consider the possibility before now? Mr. Sholmes? Early? Where have you been? I joined you all for tea, of course. What an extraordinary question. I didn't notice you at all. No matter. Anyway, two more pressing concerns. Mr. Naruhodo! Oh, Yes? I must dispatch a telegram to your country at once. It is a matter of much urgency. To Japan, you mean? Tell me, to whom can I entrust the task? Quickly! Who? Well... My father just now left to send a telegram to the Imperial Police Bureau of Japan himself. I see. Well, he looked reliable enough for a bearded fellow. I don't think what father sports could be considered a beard, Mr. Sholmes. There's not a moment to lose. Kindly ask your trusty, unshaven father to see this set. I will, but what is it? No questions at this time, if you please, Miss Susato. All we can do is pray. That for once, my deduction is awry. And doesn't that imply that your deductions are normally correct, Mr. Sholmes? Which isn't exactly... Now then! You may be surprised to learn that I am a very busy man. I certainly have no time to hide behind settees and eavesdrop on other people's conversations. So that's what joining us for tea meant. I leave the sending of this in your hands then, my dear fellows. Ah, wait a minute, Mr. Sholmes. He just sort of ran off, didn't he? At quite a pace. And left the unpaid bill for his tea behind, too. I must catch up with Father at the telegraph office at once. And I'll run and call us a cab. Straight away. And there was me, thinking everyone would be clamoring to pay Mr. Sholmes' bill. Alright, hospital bedtime. This is the ward where Mr. Vigil was brought, apparently. To be frank, I'm a little worried about seeing him again. Ah, the lawyer. Hello again. Are you feeling better now, Mr. Vigil? Yes, thank you. Somewhat better. So sorry to have caused you... I mean, it was because of me. If I hadn't exposed your secret and forced you to remember things you'd obviously tried to forget. The prosecutor was here until a few moments ago, too. Just missed him. Oh, Azuma beat us to it? He said, much the same as you. He's very apologetic. But the truth is, I brought all this upon myself. Please, don't think like that. I like that pose. Keeping it from Evie, my wife, all these years, I've carried such a sense of guilt. But that's not the worst of it. Over time, I obviously came to deceive myself as well. You mean about your dismissal? Looking back now, I'm beginning to think that perhaps Inspector Gregson stumbled across me by accident. It's really wild to think that this is the person with the flapping lip who's behaving in such a manner. I mean, he compensated me so generously for acting as his stand-in. He was clearly concerned for my well-being and doing what he could to help. So perhaps Gregson knew exactly what had become of Mr. Vigil all along then. I'm sure this is just desserts for 10 years of lies and deception, but... It wasn't me that helped the professor escape 10 years ago. It wasn't me! I swear it! I swear it's true! Oh, Mr. Vigil. I'm sure you'd rather not dredge up even more from your past at this time, but... if possible, could you tell us exactly what really happened? want to. I need to get all this off my chest. I just want someone to tell me what I should have done. Okay. Okay, what's he gonna say? Inspector Gregson was obviously engaged in a special operation of some sort. He was investigating something that even Scotland Yard could know about. Details of the remarks, yes. It was when he had to carry out those investigations that I would take his identification and impersonate him. He'd pretend to be the inspector and carry out investigations on his behalf? Oh no, never. A common street peddler couldn't possibly carry out a proper police investigation. All I would do is go to the specified location and make a little hoo-ha. Just something to leave an impression. So everyone there would think a detective called Gregson was here. So that's what you're doing on the day prior to the incident. Yes, he asked me to make an appearance at the park on Lime Street for the Red-Headed League event. So as usual, I flashed the inspector's identification around and was very vocal about my presence. And then you were taken prisoner by those red-headed fraudsters. Yes. So you would always make a point of showing Gregson's identification and generally being loud. That's what the inspector asked me. Yes. Well, that's one way of becoming a legendary detective, I suppose. Not a good one, though. As you know, I suffered from this bruising around my neck at their hands. But the following day, they kept their word and released me. Without returning the inspector's identification to me, however. We had arranged to meet in the Fresno Street room at 5 that day, so I could report back to the inspector. But at the agreed time, that's when I heard the gunshot. It was at midnight on the 17th June, 10 years ago. That was the time scheduled for the execution. But the professor's execution never actually took place, did it? Or rather, the execution itself must have been used to effect the plan of escape. I hardly dare to imagine what a chilling plan it was. Barclay was renowned for being the highest security prison in the country. Everything that went in or out of the place was searched multiple times. But there was one notable exception. Kevin did good today. I was tragic. That's true. Kevin said you were good with baddies. Now what? Or rather, one notable loophole. Something that was never questioned. I have a feeling I know what that loophole was now. Coffins into which the bodies of the executed convicts were placed, right? Yes. Once the coroner had confirmed the death of a condemned convict, the body was taken in its coffin for immediate burial in Lake Cemetery, just behind the prison. Chief Warder first had to sign the necessary paper. And after that, no member of staff was permitted to touch the coffin containing the body again. When executions took place, only the executioner and the coroner were permitted inside the chamber. The way I had no idea how much I enjoyed Ace Attorney games until now. Wait, really? Is this your first time watching one? Every time I got it together, everyone scattered or did nothing. You dig it? Awesome! I'm glad that you're enjoying. Yeah, we do chill visual novel nights on the weekends. So Saturday between 5 and 8, and Sunday evening, whenever I switch to it, we just kind of vibe. This is actually my second Ace Attorney game that I played. This Great Ace Attorney Chronicles is like a 2-game pack, and we played the first Great Ace Attorney, I think in 2021? Thick Oreo shirt Sunday. Yeah, sure, why not? Potato Sunday, as I call it. I hope that this case hasn't been too confusing for you, though, Boyfriend Energy, because, there's a lot of, like, background info that I guess you didn't see, but the game is doing a good job of recapping info. Très dramatique. Okay, perfect. Well, I'm glad that you're enjoying it. I would wait in the adjacent room for word that the condemned convict was dead. On that occasion, once I had that confirmation, I went into the mortuary to find a lone coffin as usual. The procedure was that I would sign the paperwork having checked the coffin, then nail it shut. But for some reason that day, the coffin was already nailed shut. No. I didn't think anything of it at the time. I assumed that my deputy must have checked the coffin and nailed it shut before I arrived. So you mean the coffin contained? Yes, I can only imagine that Asugi, having escaped his execution somehow, was alive inside the coffin. The coffin was then taken out through the main gates and deposited in Lowgate Cemetery. Presumably, there wouldn't have been much air inside to breathe for long. So, in the early hours following the burial, someone dug up the coffin again to set Genshin. Okay, this is getting a little nuts. What? But in the end, he was fatally shot in the graveyard anyway. Genshin Impacts? Genshin Asugi. Genshin's brother. Yeah, it's true, he has Genshin hair. What on earth really happened in Lowgate Cemetery that night, I wonder? Got this. Yeah. Could someone Ava 4 Mars for me?
Hun, sweetie, love, darling. Hun, sweetie, love, darling.
I'm afraid I really don't know. All I can say with certainty are 2 things. Cheesecake home. Yeah. Asugi couldn't possibly have escaped that way without help from somebody working in the prison.
Party.
And that somebody is not me. Obviously, you knew the man then. The professor, I mean. Genshin Asugi. Yes, I remember him well, in fact. Would you mind telling us what you know?
Yeah?
Oh. Wait, Matt wants to fight. Matt wants to fight tonight.
Oh!
So saved.
Well, having been condemned for death as he was, any contact I had with the man was short, obviously. After the trial, which was carried out behind closed doors, attended only by elite members of the judiciary, they called for his execution to be carried out at the earliest possible opportunity. The outcome of the trial was set from the beginning, wasn't it? It was a time of delicate diplomacy, when Britain and Japan were in the process of signing an important treaty. That meant that this potentially destabilizing case had to be dealt with swiftly and discreetly. The man had less than a week in total. As I was the chief warder, I oversaw his short stay in the cells until his final hour. I remember being struck deeply by his noble character and incredible resilience. What do you mean exactly? He was a killer of many men, but he was always quiet and polite. He was a gentleman and a man of intellect. In fact, I couldn't bring myself to believe what he had done, so I asked him one day. 5 members of the aristocracy whose lives were taken. Were you really responsible? I'm guilty of the unforgivable crime of ending another human's life, yes. The following day, the closed trial took place, and the verdict was no surprise. Guilty. That night, when he was brought back to his cell, I saw something. Something unusual. Unusual? What? The last will and testament mention Asugi. As I said, it was on the night following his trial. After he'd been found guilty, I was doing the rounds of the cells, and when I looked into Asugi's, I noticed that he seemed to have a sheet of paper in his hand. Ah, last will and testament then, presumably. Try and Paimon as possible. Oh! As soon as he noticed me, he hurriedly shoved it behind his back. Not the first and last wish. Oh! But why did you find him?
Oh!
Why did you find that so unusual? Isn't it normal for a man to pen a will when he knows his death is nigh? Yes, that's true. But there was special conditions to Asugi's incarceration, you see. What sort of conditions? Well, even though he was held in a cell designed for condemned inmates, he was allowed to keep personal effects with him, with one exception. Really? He was allowed to keep his things? That is unusual, certainly. Of course, he'd been convicted of killing 5 members of the aristocracy. But at the same time, he was a guest in our country from the Empire of Japan. The powers that be were determined that his final days shouldn't be needlessly uncomfortable. And what was the exception you mentioned to the personal effect of, he was allowed? His sword! That's the point. He wasn't permitted to have writing materials. Specifically, no pens or paper. So, he was... what? He was prevented from leaving any written record of what had happened to him. Yes. That was the long and short of it. I've no idea where he obtained that paper. Any writing materials would have been confiscated from him upon his incarceration. As I said, he hid the paper behind his back, and then he pleaded with me. What did you just hide behind your back? Please turn a blind eye. This is my lifeline. But no, it's against the only person who's seen. Just agree to keep quiet. Alright then. But what's on that paper? A last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now. How can a will be a weapon? So I decided to pretend I'd seen nothing, and I let him keep his will. But then later, it just seemed to vanish without a trace. What? What do you mean, vanished? it would seem, that isn't the end of the story of this mysterious will. So wait, what does this mean? This means somebody on the prison team knew that he was framed and was helping him. And he was gonna escape? He was going to escape. But then he was shot as he emerged. Why? The plot chickens. I was the only person who saw Asugi's will, but somehow it disappeared. It was after Asugi's execution, which was actually an elaborate jailbreak. The warders gathered up Asugi's possessions that were in his cell. They were all to be sent back to his family home in Japan, you see. Poor Kazuma-sama. Ah, so Kazuma has the will. And you're saying that it wasn't anywhere to be found among his personal effects. Will, I mean. That's right. Though I didn't search through them myself. But Governor Kaiden was livid. He was screaming, and Kane have disappeared completely. That doesn't quite make sense, though, does it? In what way? Well, we'd understood that only Mr. Vigil was aware of the will's existence. In which case, how did the prison governor know to look for it? Oh yes, you're right! I really don't know how he knew, but it certainly seemed as though he knew of the will's existence from the outset. Okay... So wait, he's friends with Susato's father. So he was down with the Japanese guys that were visiting. He's the one that was... Oh. Okay, so this is the one that tried to get him to escape. And he never got caught? Because he threw this guy under the bus. Okay. Okay. Didn't refer to it as a will. What he said was... the Asugi papers. The Asugi papers. Really can't tell you anything of the subsequent events. Because, well, of what happened. Your dismissal, and the way you blocked it all from your memory. I'd forgotten all this until today. I don't suppose it's relevant to the case, though. Well, anyway, thank you very much for sharing it with us, Mr. Vigil. We're very grateful. Do you think it was a missive? Of all of his past Iron Mans? No. I'm afraid there's really little more I can tell you. My wife Evie will be here shortly, so I do hope I don't appear rude, but... No, not at all. Thank you again. But what will become of you now? Well, impersonating a police officer is a criminal offense. Of course. I imagine that once I'm fully recovered, I shall be arrested. So sorry. Don't be, please. This was all my own doing. I always knew that this day would come. Well, I wish you well. Bye, Mr. Vision. I thought he was gonna start laughing, like face crack. Oh! Before you go, there's just one thing. Oh.
Oh!
Yes? What is it? The Asuki papers. I'd be very grateful if you'd make no mention of the things I told you about them. Presumably for some good reason. It's my understanding that their very existence is a closely guarded secret. It became known that I'd remembered. Well, it could be rather troublesome, I think. I understand. Some sort of will that Genshin Asugi penned just before his death, which the man himself claimed was his last weapon. Okay. Yeah, she's insane. Kinda dumb. I'm assuming the papers got stuffed into the father's sword, and the sword was sent to Kazuma. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. I wonder. Perhaps it had something to do with his plan to escape. If there's anyone who might know more about a document that Kazuma's father left behind, it would be Mr. Vigil's governor. Then we know precisely where we must go. Back to Barclay Prison. Interesting. Prison governor's office. Alright, we're going. Oh, back again, are ya? Yes. Hello. Heard all about your investigations. I read the report just now. You found him, eh? Vigil. Yeah, luckily. Well, anywho. Glad he doesn't ain't work here no more, so your case is not to do with Barclay. I wouldn't like you to get the wrong idea about that. Of course, yes. Mr. Vigil stopped working here 10 years ago now. Yes, we've seen his dismal notice, haven't we? He was given the chop. Aye, Kimmer. You can very well. So, how about a wee handcuff biscuit? Oh, they really are like little handcuffs. And just Oh, and as hard as irons too. So, what's brought you Dune here today? Well, there's something else we'd like to ask you about, actually. Is that so? We believe there might have been a document that appeared in the engine Asagi cell. I think it's been called the Asagi something. What did you say? Did I know say? Gregson's death is not to do with things that might have happened to Barclay. Leave the past in the past, laddie. Let's not put her about with irrelevant details. I see, Trash is breaking his lurk, to admire this gentle. See?
How dare you?
His expressions changed completely. We're clearly onto something here. That murderer's botched execution and the whole miserable escape. They were Barclay's darkest hour, a shocking embarrassment. Because the convict had a collaborator on the prison staff. Haddon is making you sweat with the mustache. I think I'm simping. Honestly, he reminds me a lot of Armstrong from Fullmetal Alchemists. For shame. A coroner who confirmed the death of the man after his execution, Courtney Scythe, and my chief warder at the time, Vigil, who was in charge of the whole affair. Shave his head and give him 20 years and it's done? 20 years? Maybe 20 years younger. I think he's 50. Is that his age is 51? Maybe just daddy. I don't know about grandpa. Unless if this is an anime game. In which case, yes, grandpa.
You've got a daddy to find.
But Mr. Vigil says he didn't know anything about it. 51, wowee. Trash is like, wow, this is just checking all the boxes. Yeah, Armstrong is not super duper old. I want to say he's in his 30s. Or 40s? Wait, how old is Armstrong? Something. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And anime war heroes, right? Age 30. Mr. Vigil says he didn't know anything about it. I like how you evaded a straight answer there too, boyfriend energy. Like, 30-something. Not gonna out ourselves. Rosen.
Pardonnez-moi.
Rosen! That rascal would say otherwise, eh? More handcuffs? Oh, how can I say no? You can never have too much iron in your diet. I'm only 30. Not long enough to have a complex about it? Oh yeah. Well, welcome to being gay dead. I like them how I like my wine. Well, there ain't nothing wrong with that. When Mr. Vigil was handed his dismissal notice as a result of what had happened, he was so despairing he jumped out of your office window, didn't you? Bitter and sour. Oh no. Sour wine? I think we might have a problem. I didn't like to say, but that's just Vigil trying to get out of it. Do you no think he would nay have jumped from the shock of his crimes being exposed, eh? I do. You love dry wine? Me too, actually. I don't like when wine is too sweet, and I don't like Pinot Noir. Those are my two things. Actually, there is one good Pinot Noir, and it's from Trader Joe's. But most Pinot Noirs are not great. You would naysay otherwise, though, would ya? Trader Joe's! Of course, I can shun all responsibility myself. I shouldn't have let him deceive me. Actually, there's barely anybody that kens what went on at the time now. Yeah, I like Cabernet Sauvignon. That's like the default go-to. If I can be picky, then I would go probably for Spanish red wine is like my first choice. I also like some dry whites. Wine, not... Never mind. I also like Sauvignon Blanc because I'm allergic to ATP. Yeah, Sauvignon Blanc is great. I drink that with my mom. Spanish red wine, but hold the cilantro. Yeah. Well, you can stir it with cilantro. I don't know why we're stirring it, but you can.
Woo, baby.
Ooh. But Gregson haven't been murdered, and Dr. Scythe forbidden from having any visitors. No visitors? Someone obviously doesn't want her giving anything away. When was cilantro invited? Well, yeah, Proto Badger has this thing where every time he eats cilantro, it tastes like socks. It's an unfortunate, it's an unfortunate genetic. Oh! Oh yeah, that's right. Kevin was suggesting that we go to the cilantro buffet when you visit. Now hold on. Yeah, it's that silly goofy gene. No, we're not. We're gonna get Korean barbecue and make more meat. That's my current plan.
At times like this, you just have to act yourself. WWID.
Korean barbecue goes so hard, it does. We stand, yeah. I'm gonna get it for my birthday dinner. Yeah. I used to live in the greater LAOC area, and the KBBQ there is Chef's Kiss. Well, that's where I live. Yeah. I have a spot that I always take people that visit, over in Buena Park, and it is fantastic. Well, we're not going home empty-handed. Since even today we tell those jeans to sashay away and tell the cilantro to Shantae and stay. So we can eventually grow out of it and our taste buds to like, oh my gosh, this is aggressive, Matt. You like honey pig? I've never heard of it. We go... There's another place that we go. That's like close to Knott's Berry Farms. And it's amazing! They used to have all-you-can-eat ice cream, but COVID kind of shut that down. They still offer ice cream, not all-you-can. I was actually considering doing a more, like, a different Korean barbecue when you guys visit. Because Kevin and I went to one recently with Kevin's sister, and the difference of options was nice, but the place overall was worse. Well, there's just a lot of things on their menu. Yeah, the portions were annoying. And there'll be 4 of us, so I'm like, I don't know. Also a Mr. Barbecue in Buena Park? Maybe.
Mm. Mm.
Ava 3 is so powerful.
Mm.
Yeah, if you can't taste the cilantro, you're only getting half the silver. Are you drinking soju right now? Oh my goodness. We'll be having soju probably on the birthday night and the night after. Because soju is great. You don't have work tomorrow? Yeah. I'm half Korean, so this is water. Ah! Really? Yeah. I unfortunately have work tomorrow, so we can't go for too much longer, but, yeah, soju's the best. What flavor? And I wouldn't dream of sending you packing with not Kimmer. What does that mean? Here, take a handcuff or two. Oh, well, it would be rude to say no. Oh my god, wait, I've had the Choco Mint Soju and I also like it. I bought it from H Mart. Yeah, I'm with you. And you know what? The bottle it comes in is pretty. Maybe that's why I wanted to buy it in the first place. Yeah. That's great. I think everybody else I've ever had try it is like, this is okay. I'm like, oh, but I like it. I'm here for it. I think the best soju flavor, though, is lychee. It's definitely lychee. But I'm down with most of the flavor. Well, it would be rude to say no. Wouldn't want to become anemic. Because of the iron, I see. Oh, this game. I suppose there's anybody who might still ken a boot that happened back then. Yes. It'd be that last from the forensics division. Maria Gory. Who, by the way... Look at that! Oh, jeez. Alright. Maria Gory? Wait, is that a pun? Oh no! It is Sight's daughter! I knew she was gonna come back. At least she's not the assassin, because that's assassin. Sight's daughter. She didn't have no more, just the one. But the wee bairns followed in her mam's footsteps. You didn't ever see her without a scalpel in her hand. Ah. Yeah. This crazy plague doctor. Iconic. Besides daughter, Maria Gory. The steampunk mask we wish we had. Dr. Sight's daughter, Maria Gori. We could do with talking to her. So, she's Dr. Sight's daughter, but her name is Gori? Aye, there's some family history, I'm sure.
At times like this, you just have to act yourself. WWID.
But I didn't ken the ins and outs of it. She grew up watching her mam working with the bodies of folk who died in strange circumstances, and decided to do the same with her own life. I can understand it myself. Perhaps she was driven by a deep respect for her mother. Perhaps, anywho, she was in charge of Gregson's autopsy, I believe. Right, and the coroner responsible for this incomplete report. Someone told me once that the wee lassie always loved her mam's stories about cutting up bodies. There's even a rumor that she used to listen to the funeral march as a lullaby. Well then perhaps her mother might have told her about the autopsy from the case 10 years ago. I'd say there's a fighting chance at least. After all, that was a life-changing case for all of us. We really need to speak to Miss Gori herself about this, I think. Well, thank you very much. I'm no happy about any part of this. It took years for Londoners to finally forget the whole professor business. Can you give up on this, laddie? Stop asking pointless questions. I'm sorry, I don't like dredging up these painful memories for everyone. Can you just stay away, no? Leave me alone and Danae come back here, eh? Well, I still have to ask you about the Oski pyramids. How do you come to ken about that, laddie? I don't know why ken means no. But it's supposed to be like Irish? Question mark? Oh, I'm Irish. Yeah. Scottish. I don't have an accent, so I'm just running with it. There's no many folk, even here in the prison, who've heard of those papers. Ah, well, I can't tell him Mr. Phil told me. I'm afraid our sources must remain confidential, sir. We've been led to believe papers are actually a last will and testament, is that right? The professor's, or rather, Genshin Asuhi's. Aye, that's right. You're well informed, Jimmy. Oh, is that the end of the silent treatment? Then after the convict's execution, it mysteriously vanished from his cell, didn't it? Hammers, no! You're off at half-cock there. I think you didn't quite get your facts straight. People used to think I had a Canadian accent, but it was actually my speech impediment I was unaware of. What? Why would that make you sound Canadian? Van Zeeks, on the other hand, Volcock. Okay.
Oh!
Dots?
Oh!
Yeah, oh!
I'm like, yeah.
I have ascended!
Trouble with ours.
So saved.
King! Are these new? Yeah. So I made voice commands for Inescapable, that bad visual novel that we played. Was it before this one? No. Wait, was it? I'm losing I am losing control of my life. We've been on Ace Attorney for so long that I, like, forgot. Loving the Ava commands? Yeah, all of them are good. There's no... So, okay, I was saying this at the beginning of stream too, but Inescapable is such a niche visual novel, there is no community for it. No one knows what it is, no one uploads anything, there is no legwork. So I was like, if I'm gonna upload things from the game, I have to record it myself, which means I have to boot up the game, turn off all the background noises, turn up the voices, put my streaming software on, get my audio program, and then find the thing I want to record and record my computer's sound version of it from the streaming capture card. So it was a whole process. True streamer mode, yeah. Weeby tried it. I think she stopped after 2 episodes. She didn't like it. Yeah. I can't imagine why. It's just the game didn't go anywhere fast enough. That game is like 80% fluff and like 20% enjoyable things happening. And even when you're in a good part of the plot, there's still fluff like here and there that you're just like, why? So, the G Lilius problem. The inescapable problem. Why did I say G Lilius? Oh, because boyfriend energy typed it. Alright, I have streamer brain. It was there in the cell, exactly where it should have been. Oh, not what we heard elsewhere.
Gives gays life.
Let me just have a wee hawk around in here. I'm sure I can find it. He has it? Aye, here they are. See? Last Will and Testament of Genshin Asagi. Written with a calligraphy brush. Of course, I can read a word of those Japanese squiggles. Ain't that a bitch? But I mind it says he leaves all his worldly possessions to his son back in his homeland. Yes, that's correct. That's the gist of it. So these are the Asagi papers. Aye, of course they are. Papers written by Asagi. No doubt about it. There's no mystery here, laddie. That's your lot. These are fakes! After all this dramish of the blaster of an execution, we sent the man's possessions back to his clan in Japan, and that was the end of it. I think we ought to make a record of this, Mr. Naruhodo, just in case. These new ones are great, thank you. Yeah, I'm convinced that he's making up words too. But then again, we're not Scottish, so maybe this is just a weird way to write out their accent. One thing afore you go your way, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? Those papers are not to do with Gregson's death. I'd prefer it if you didn't make no mention of them outside of this office. Or rather, I would nay just prefer it, consider it an order from the highest levels of our government. I understand. But it's in the court record, so you're fine. But it's in the court record! And I also think these are not the real ones, because the guy said that they didn't find them. I, Genshin Asogi, hereby request that upon my death, any and all material possessions and wealth belonging to me in London be delivered to my son Kazuma Asogi in the Empire of Japan. It is with deep sadness that I accept my fate in this foreign land, in the knowledge that I will never see my homeland or family again, but I regret nothing about my chosen. Let's just present them to everyone we see. I agree. Yummy's dancing. Why is everyone so sus about these papers? My gay senses are tingling. Yeah. He probably wrote about his male lover. Just kidding. Okay, so we already talked it up with this guy. Great. So saved. Guys, I have to pee. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna keep going until it starts the next day of the trial. I don't know how much longer that is, but, it could be another couple minutes. So give me a sec, I'll be right back. Okay, hi guys. Let's finish this up. So, we need to go talk to the crazy lady. And yet, we don't really know where to find her. Let's pay Kazuma-sama a visit. Okay. Okay, will do. Kazuma. Thought it wouldn't be long before you paid me a visit, Ryunosuke. I was right about what I said, wasn't I? Sorry? That you have all the makings of a great defense lawyer. Aww, our boyfriend is praising us. Well, I always believed that you'd fulfill your dream of advocating in the British courts. I just never imagined for 1 second that it would be as a prosecutor. Seeing you stand in a foreign courtroom so gallantly, realizing your dream, Kazuma-sama, I'm truly happy for you. And I'm truly thankful to you, Judicial Assistant Mikotoba. Ryunosuke, I always thought it would be fun for you and I to shake up the British legal system a little together. This isn't quite how I envisaged it, but I suppose it's just another twist of fate. I've learned a lot of things during my time in London. About how Susato-san's father was himself a visiting student here once, along with Judge Jikoku. And about what happened with your father. Then you'll have no difficulty understanding why I had no choice, why I had to find a way to get to Britain as a visiting student myself. I want to hear it from you, Kazuma. As you wish, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. It's getting on for a year now, since what happened on the SS Korea. We were heading across the oceans from Japan to Great Britain. Victoria, when a bizarre series of coincidences led to those tragic events. Yeah, he likes it. I thought I'd lost my best friend forever. I must have been unconscious for a long time. When I awoke, I was lying on a bed. It was a narrow little room. There was a posy of flowers by the pillow. It took me a little while to realize that I was in the cabin of a ship. I slipped out of the room and headed up onto the deck. Were you already suffering from amnesia at that point? Yeah. I didn't know what had happened or where I was. There was just a voice in my head. You have something to do, something no one else can know about. Go to Great Britain, your task awaits you there. It was a calling I couldn't ignore. It compelled me relentlessly. Out on the deck, I saw that I was on a huge steamship and we were docked in a large... It must have been Hong Kong! Yes, it must have been, presumably just before they were due to carry your body off the ship. I had no idea of the situation, but I did have the feeling that this was in some way my last chance. So I concealed myself among the disembarking passengers and went ashore. Then I disappeared into the crowded streets of that foreign port city, so I could plan my onward journey to Great Britain. That's insane. Just under a year ago, with all my past memories lost to me, I was left behind in Hong Kong. Everything was foreign to me. The sights, the sounds, the smells. My head reeled. I was truly at a loss. I realize now that I'd escaped as a dead man, with nothing but the clothes on my back. No money, of course. Oh, how terrifying for you. Luckily, though, I had 2 feathers in my cap. One being your knowledge of English, I suppose. That's right. And on the back of that, I was able to pick up some work as a deckhand on a cargo ship. Eventually, after calling at countless ports, I finally arrived in Dover. That must have been some 3 months ago now. Formidable tenacity of purpose showing itself again. I mean, the man had lost his memory and had literally nothing to his name, but he still managed to make his way to London on the opposite side of the world. Of course, I had no idea why I moved heaven and earth to get here at that point. So, how did you end up becoming Lord Van Zieks' apprentice then? That can only be called an extraordinary stroke of luck, really. You see, I was stopped at the border because I had no paper. They took me straight to Scotland Yard. And by sheer coincidence, Lord Strongheart was there to attend a meeting. That's when the second feather in my cap came into play. Would that have been your knowledge of the law? You seem sober this stream. Hey, Val. Yeah. We're chillin'. We are chillin' just for a little bit while longer. Yeah, I guess I just passively get drunk. How was your movie? I bought Never Lies, that's true. Ever. Yes, exactly. Like, yeah. Lord Strongheart was curious about an Easterner with intimate knowledge of British law. Took me back with him to the Supreme Court and assigned me to the prosecutor's office. And then, 9 days ago, finally got your memories back, after the trial involving Trevor. Yes, I did. Ever since I first met you at Yume, you talked about your dream. Mark my words, Ryunosuke, I'll be chosen as a visiting student and make my way to Great Britain someday. Did you know the entire time about what happened to your father here? 16 years ago. When my father left on that exciting trip to Great Britain, I was just a boy. We took a photograph together the day before his departure. It's my last memory of him. But what I remember most about my father is his unswerving sense of justice. 6 years after he left, a gentleman called at our family home. He told me that Genshin, my father, had been taken ill in England and passed away. It was Professor Mikotoba, your father's Sato-san. Oh my. Ever since then, the professor was very good to me. Even helped to fund my university education at Yume. I'll be forever in his debt. But nevertheless, I just couldn't bring myself to believe that he told me. But what he told me. Oh. Then one day, a letter arrived at our house from Britain. There was no indication of the sender, so I opened it assuming it was from an old acquaintance of my father. What I read in that letter changed my entire life. What did it say? It said that my father had been a mass murderer, and the writer cursed the Asogi name. Oh no! As a result of that letter, I found out what had been hidden from me all those years. Presumably, the letter was sent from a relative of one of the victims. If whoever it was had been a member of the judiciary, he could have been present at the closed trial. The letter revealed that my father had been sentenced to death, executed for being a killer. I'm so sorry you had to find out that way. I imagine the British government did its very best to silence whoever sent that letter. But someone who knew the truth couldn't bear the resentment was always going to be a problem. But still, it could have been written by anyone. Why would you believe such a thing? There was a newspaper cutting included with the letter. It was the first I'd ever heard of the professor and his terrible killing spree. Well, what did my father have to say about the letter? I couldn't bring myself to show it to him. What? Why not? Because he deliberately concealed the truth from me by telling me my father was taken by a fatal illness. That couldn't have been easy for him, and he'd done it out of consideration for my feelings. So instead, I showed the letter to Judge Jigoku. Ah, the other visiting student. He faltered for the briefest of moments, and then he just laughed the letter off. But in the moment, I saw it on his face. He was undeniably shocked, shaken momentarily, before recovering poise. A year later, my bereaved mother succumbed to this strain of grief, and she too passed away. That's when I made up my mind. That one day, without fail, I would cross the seas to Britain. I'm heading out to walk my dog and sleep. Alright, later boyfriend energy, take care. Thanks for coming by today. Also feel free, if you want to, join the Discord to know every time I go live. I'm kind of psycho though, and I stream most days of the week. The truth about my father, Genshin Asugi. Sweet! Alright, have a great night.
Yay!
And I wouldn't let anyone stand in the way. Oh, Kazuma-sama. What we learned today in court turned things completely on their head. It was an impressive piece of lawyering, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Lord Van Zieks isn't the Reaper, you know. I almost don't want to believe it myself, but it turns out that Inspector Gregson himself, the victim, was... It's clear that the Inspector was behind the Reaper's activity all along. What? You mean you knew? Real question is, who's been giving orders to the Inspector? Strongheart. Yes, Derek Van Zieks is the real Reaper. And I know that 10 years ago, it was him who decided my father must be a mass murderer and sent him to his grave. No, He was merely seeing that justice was done as law dictates. He's not to blame. Ultimately, it's people who condemn people. The law is just a tool they use to do it. And then when a man condemns another, he must take responsibility for his actions. Of course he must. But I know for certain that my father would never have taken another man's life. Cosmo. On the contrary, my father's life was taken by the Reaper. Yes, that's correct. What do I need to show him? Kazuma, what do you make of this? There's only one place where defense lawyers and prosecutors should discuss evidence, the courtroom. It seems you're still confused by the situation. That's what I make of it. Get the feeling my friend's always going to have the edge over me. Okay, so they don't want me to... let me look around at the evidence dots, and if I can't figure it out, I'll... I'm surprised it wasn't the Asogi papers. I'm wrong again. So I'm assuming it's not very obvious. Kazuma, this is your armband. This is so random. Actually, I think it's yours now. Sorry? You're the defense lawyer. You have a talent for it. I've always known that you would. And now, you've chosen to take that path in life. As your friend, I couldn't be happier for you. Or more proud. Kazuma. So you keep hold of that. Besides, I'm a prosecutor now. That armband would have no meaning for me. Well, if you're sure. Thank you, my friend. Wait, is that what I had to do? Or is there something else? 'Cause... there is something else. Oh. I'm really not sure. There was not even really a prompt for this, so I'm kind of just like fishing at random. This came up in the trial, didn't it? As something a little dubious, I mean. The fact that no time of death was reported on Inspector Gregson's autopsy report. Yes, there were some unexpected turns in the courtroom earlier. The suggestion you came up with certainly took everyone by surprise. The idea that the victim died the previous day at some other location is quite something. Well, considering when the pocket watch had stopped and the scorch marks on the candle, it's certainly a distinct possibility the evidence and the scene both point to it. To be honest, it bothered me too. So I paid a visit to the autopsy room earlier. The coroner responsible wasn't there, but I got a name. It's Dr. Gory. If it wouldn't trouble you, Kazuma-sama, we'd very much like to speak with the coroner too. Of course. The last thing I want is for anything to be brushed under the carpet. Scotland Yard's autopsy laboratory is behind Lowgate Cemetery. Lowgate Cemetery? By Barclay Prison, you mean? Ah, you know it, do you? Prison where my father was incarcerated, and robbed of his life. Kazuma-sama. Well, thank you. We'll pay a visit to the laboratory later today. That was super random. Ryunosuke. I want to thank you. What for? For this. You safeguarded the soul of the Asugi clan. Well, it is a famous sword that's been in your family for generations. My only slight regret is that I never got the chance to draw it before I returned it to you. Arma is said to have been forged by a master swordsmith during the Sengoku Warring States period. I come from a long lineage of warriors, many of whom were expert swordsmen. Well then, you're a chip off the old block, I'd say. This blade, Karuma, is the symbol of the Asugi clan's honor and might. Apparently, one of my father's apprentices even took the blade's name for a surname. Really, Karuma. It does sound formidable, that's for sure. 16 years ago, when my father was a visiting student here in London, he had this sword forever at his side, which is why it means so much to me that I have it by my side again now, too. And that is all thanks to you. It was an honor. Now I have preparations to make for tomorrow. Perhaps I said a little too much. Kazuma. Changed. No. Ryunosuke, I haven't changed at all. It's you who's changed. I can completely understand your resentment of Lord Van Zieks, given what happened. But the fact is, those events in this case are, well, unrelated. Is that what you want to say? How can you be so sure? What do you mean? Never mind. That man is the Reaper, and it's for that reason that the Inspector was killed. I'm going to prove as much in court tomorrow, by whatever means necessary. I can't let you do that, Kazuma. I must call it karma. I know you'll do what you have to do as a lawyer, but I'm sure I don't need to tell you that I won't be taking any prisoners in the courtroom. I would expect nothing less. Until tomorrow, then, the Old Bailey. Oh boy, alright. So let's go to the forensics laboratory, but I'm gonna have to call it there, guys, because we are like... We are reaching my forced shut-off time. I kind of thought we might go till 10, but 10:30 is a little much. I gotta start getting ready for bed. It is my bad, though, because we played Unicorn Overlord, like, 40 minutes too long. Super good session for this game, though. We'll be doing more Ace Attorney next weekend. During the week, it'll be Final Fantasy Rebirth and Unicorn Overlord, so that'll be great. I already know we are definitely not streaming Wednesday. I'll release a schedule in Discord tomorrow, so everybody has it. Yeah, I should be live again tomorrow after work at some point. So I'll see you guys then. Everyone, have a great night, and thank you for watching.